Ciao, buongiorno ragazzi. We come at you very happy and very nervous at the same time. Tre appunti versus Torino as the focal point, and to discuss that and much, much more, I'm joined by a couple of crowd favorites. Alessandro, how you doing all the way in San Francisco?
Very good, thank you. How are you guys?
Very good. And Bruno, how you doing from approximately 3 minutes from me?
I'm doing well, Just still salivating over that beautiful win against Torino.
Yeah, it was really, really good, marred by an injury to Barella, but also just the fact that all 11 of our players put in a very, very comprehensive shift. It was almost like they clocked in for work and clocked out at the end of the day. So, let's start talking about Torino. I apologize in advance. Microphone has broken this morning. So if the quality of this is not up to scratch, that's my bad, and I'll take it on the chin. So back to the football, Alessandro, Torino. What did you think about watching that one, man?
It was a very good game. I cannot remember a game so smooth for I don't know a month at the moment. Everything went to plan aside the Barella injury, but with that kind of weather, it's something that it can happen. But other than that, everybody played the role. Everything went to plan, and it was really nice to watch. It was really nice, and I was glad that Borja Valero played and played well. I was glad that Vecino did the same, and Lukaku and Lautaro, they keep doing their best, and Handanovic as well did a couple of amazing saves. So D'Ambrosio's back. I'm really happy for a little bit. I thought to that it reminds me a little bit of the, and I know this sounds bad, but the old Juventus, the Conte's Juventus, the team that was playing, starting the game, taking control, scoring 1-2, and then the game was over, and you can relax. And as an Inter supporter, it's not so common. At least I need to get used to it, and I hope I will. I hope these kind of games, especially with weakest team, I hope that's gonna start to be more regular for us. Well, what do you think, Bruno?
Yeah, look, I found that Inter, they played with a fluidity. They were the chemistry between the team was absolutely ridiculous. They showed perseverance. Now, I'm not going to say it's the reason we won, but luck did favour Inter earlier on in the match where Belotti got taken off injured, Torino's top scorer. And I just think, and that was before the first goal, and I just think that they lost their way, Torino. I was very impressed with Vecino on and off the ball. Brozovic, he's coming back slowly, and I think this was one of his best games so far this season. But I gotta give a special commendation to Lukaku, because it was the first game of the season where I've actually seen Lukaku find a lot of space. He was causing a lot of issues for the Torino defense, and there was countless times where Lukaku would be open and free, and the conditions played a massive factor. And there's a couple of shots where he slipped completely, and they were really good shots. But in saying that, overall, I just feel the team played with a chemistry that we haven't seen before. And you've got to remember, this is a brand new team for the majority. And when you've got two strikers that are in form, like Lukaku, like Martinez, who are always providing the goal, it creates a nuisance for the defense. And they don't know which one to mark. And I just think this game, they tried to mark Martinez out of the game, leaving Lukaku wide open. And following that Lukaku header that resulted in the corner, I was like, oh, here we go. It's going to be one of those games. But that beautiful set piece that saw the Fry get on the end of it and score was just spectacular. And it's good to see everyone getting on the score sheet now and again. But it's really good to see Lukaku and Martinez always being up there, always being the first names on that score sheet. But the Barella injury, update on that, it's looking like he'll return early January. Um, they're they're wanting to hold off giving him his surgery, but he's doing a scan tomorrow, which will determine exactly if Conte's not holding any reservations. He's got to basically turn around and say, well, if they find out tomorrow he needs the surgery, tomorrow he's having the surgery. We need him back ASAP. So it's going to be interesting leading up into our Champions League clash, which we'll cover shortly. But I'm not worried. Valero, and I've been saying this all season. I feel Valero is the one player on the team that needs more game time. He's amazing when he's holding the ball. I wouldn't bring him on when we need to be winning, when we're behind or when we're tied. But when we're ahead, he just holds the ball really well, and he's a great passer, but no pace. Anyway, but Anthony, I do remember your reaction on Sunday morning, our time here. But what do you think of the game?
Yeah, for really, really good points from you both. I don't really know what else I can add, to be honest. Alessandro made the good comment about how, as Inter fans, we need to get used to being calm. I could tell you what, man, I could get used to that, Bruno, bro. Waking up that early on a Sunday and on a Monday and having it that calm and tranquil. Like, I'm in the kitchen, like, making my amino acids and breakfast and stuff. Like, I was just going about my morning routine, like nothing was happening in the background, because the Ragazzi were very, very confident. And I was very confident in their ability. I thought they were absolutely fantastic from top to bottom. Handanovic was barking out orders. We brought it up very, very comfortably from the back. Like, Skriniar looks like a defensive midfielder on his best day. De Vrij just continues to perform on a game-by-game basis. Beragi got himself an assist as well, if I'm not mistaken. So that's fantastic for him. And, D'Ambrosio had a good match. The midfield was fantastic. And as you said, Bruno, seeing Lautaro and Lukaku score like this, you want your strikers to score. A lot of fans say, like, they want to see players that don't score often score. But when your strikers are in form, mate, that's the whole focal point of the attack. And you're right, Lukaku did find a lot more space out wide. I had a feeling that he would, though, at the start of the match when I saw the Torino lineup. We all know Mazzarri likes to play the 3-5-2. But Izor and Nkolu and Bremer, like, don't tell me that's a good 3 men at the back. That's not a safe 3 men at the back at all. And at the start of the game, that's what I thought to myself. If we are going to play well, we need to get them from our width. And the first goal from Lautaro is beautifully taken. It's really, really bad Torino defense. I said it in my post-match reaction as well. This is the worst Torino we've traveled to under Mazzarri. They were a walk in the absolute park. So, to be honest, no complaints from me. I was very happy to grab the 3 points. I agree when Belotti went off, it really would have taken something out of the Torino side. But to be honest, we scored from the very next play. It was a complete lapse in concentration from almost every single one of their outfield players. So no complaints from me as well. The Barella issue is the worst thing for me, though, boys. Like, everyone knows how much I love him. Everyone knows how much I'm biased towards him as well. But I truly believe that he is our best on-field player. And I really hope that we can get him back at 100%, because we made that mistake the first time rushing back Stefano Sensi, and we can't do that again. So, Alessandro, altogether, what do you make of the Barella incident? How upset are you that he has to spend some time on the sidelines? And how do you think it will impact the team tactically as well? How do you think Conte could shift it up, man?
Well, it's not just the Barella injury of the moment. It's Barella, it's Gagliardini, it's Sensi, it's Asamoah. It's all these players that played pretty much in the same area, and it's not a good timing. And how much I love Barella. I started talking about him a couple of years ago, and right after I started talking about Tonali, and I really hope they both are gonna be playing for our team soon. But at the moment, I think Conte needs to to figure something out, and having just Brozovic and Borja Valero and Vecino in the midfield, I don't know. It needs to figure something out quick. I don't know if maybe we can bring Candreva playing more in the inside, or if we can, I don't know, if we can bring Skriniar maybe up a little bit. Conte is training them every day, and I'm sure he has a plan B. All in all, I'm really sorry about the injury, and I hope it comes back soon. Just because I don't know, it's like a course of this season. Like as soon as a player start perform at his best, it gets injured. We've seen Sensi and now Barella. Is just it sucks, man. It really sucks. But I'm sure when they come back, they're gonna be even better than before. What's your take?
Look, I think that and looking at our injury list, we've got you mentioned most of them. You forgot to mention Alexis, Politano. Like we've got a very very deep injury list at the moment, and what pleases me at the moment is seeing that we're still getting the job done. We are still getting the job done week in, week out, and I think it's going to be time for some of the players who haven't had much game time to step up, to take the reins. And as a player, you want to prove yourself to a coach, and especially when your coach is Antonio Conte. And I have faith in him, but I'm worried because one more injury, and I just think who we're going to field on that pitch. Um, we had issues with Godin, the fry at the start of the season, and that quickly fixed itself up in no time. But yeah, Politano will be back shortly, as well as Asamoah. Sensi, I think he should be playing against Slavia, but in saying that, you can't really make any assumptions, especially with Conte. Slavia is a must-win, but we're going to get to that soon. But yeah, like you, Alessandro, like you, Anthony, especially seeing Barella in the form he's been in lately, he's just picked up so much, and he's become his own player, and it's heartbreaking to see it, especially when we're only 1 point behind Juventus still. Um, and look, this time next year we might be awarded champions because of a similar situation to 2006. But I'm not going to speculate. But let's move on to Slavia.
Yeah, let's move on to Slavia. So it's so quick. One of the most exciting things about this season has been the very, very shift turnaround of the fixtures. So I believe that we take Slavia on in Bruno. In Australia, is it Wednesday or Thursday, man? Do you know? Have a look for me. And
Just having a look now, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be playing. It is on Thursday morning, so it'll be Wednesday night everywhere else in the world.
Awesome. So we get a little bit more time, just a little bit more than I thought that we would get for the Slavia turnaround. So hopefully the players that need to really make sure that their fitness is up to scratch, but also get plenty of rest in the meantime as well. It's going to be tough. This is a hostile place and a hostile crowd. And you know what? They're still top of their league by 11 points, if I'm not mistaken. And they're doing bits. They know how to play well. They kept Barcelona to a draw as well, which has kept Barcelona fighting until match day 5. Slavia is going to be really tough. To be honest, going into it, there's not much that I can say or predict besides who I think is going to take the field. So starting from the back, Handanovic. Godin actually looked quite good and confident, and I also saw him walking off against Torino with a huge smile on his face. He looked fit and he looked like he was good to go. So if I'm not mistaken, I reckon Godin's going to get the nod at the start of the back three with Skriniar and De Vrij as well. It's not often you see Godin play more than a game at once, or you never see him play 2 games in a row. But I do think he'll back it up this time. With Asamoah still being out, it's got to be Biraghi, who played quite well against Torino. He gets the nod on the left-hand side. And with Champions League, it's I think it'll be Candreva, and I think both of the gentlemen here will agree with me, but we'll get to them in a sec. In the midfield, obviously the boys have said it all. This is where it gets really tricky. But Vecino, Valero, and Brozovic. I guess with Valero, you still have that complementing style to Brozovic, someone who can pick up the ball, someone who can technically play it forward at the same time. We're just really going to have to make sure, I guess, we have a good first half. And obviously up front, Lukaku and Lautaro to finish it off. How do I think we're going to go? I think we're going to fight tooth and nail, and I actually think we're going to come away with a really hard-fought 1-0 win. And I think Lautaro grabs the goal. Over to you, Alessandro. What do you think is going to happen for Slavia, and how are you feeling altogether?
Well, I said it before. I would rather keep going in Serie A like we are doing, that focusing on the Champions League. But at the same time, I feel like Conte wants to give a strong signal, not only to the other contenders in Serie A, but in Europe. And going through this group stage with this specific group so hard would be massive. So at this point, if we win this game, and depending on what's going to happen at Barcelona at the same time, it could be a really positive night for us. So I think it's gonna start the game with the same formation that and the Torino game. I don't think it's gonna change anything. Due also for all the injuries we just listed, and hopefully we can get a good result. We know the Prague is not an easy team at the moment, but this group is growing so much game after game, and I think we can make it. I think we can win. If we don't, again, I will not be so upset. I'd rather go on with the Serie A with victories. But why we can win both? So let's see. What do you think, Bruno?
Look, I think we saw what Slavia was capable of when they came to the San Siro. We saw what Slavia was capable of against Barcelona. But the one thing I've learned this season in regards to Inter, especially in regards to Antonio Conte, is every game is competitive. He's going to put his best team forward. He's going to show his emotion. He's going to go crazy. Now, Slavia have played 17 games for not a single loss in their domestic league. They drew with Inter. They drew with Barcelona. They they would consider the easy wins in the group. In what we would say would be when we first got drawn the group. But as I've always said, it's the teams you don't know that are the teams which are going to be harder to beat. In saying that, they literally just drew 0-0 most recently, and they dropped some rare points in their league. And I don't know if that suggests they fielded a weaker team for the Inter clash, which is happening this week. But in saying that, we need to. Okay, Barella got injured, but we can't let that play on any of the minds of any of the players, because at the end of the day, injuries happen. Ultimately, we are, like Anthony covered, we are going to a very hostile environment and a very hostile crowd, and they're going to be there in full force. And if we lose, I don't want to field the team against Barcelona. I'd rather come last in the group, and like Alessandro said, just focus on the Scudetto, because at the end of the day, we've seen what it means to Inter, and how much fixture congestion can hit us, especially in the January period, looking at how we're going. But overall, I don't know. I think we might come out with a win. And for Inter, it's nothing but a win. And if we don't come away with the win, we can say goodbye to Champions League. But financially, we'd love to get that win and hope Barcelona do topple Dortmund. We saw what happened in the first match day when Dortmund absolutely dominated Barcelona, but just could not get that goal. So if Barcelona do beat Dortmund and Inter do beat Slavia, we've got the upper hand, hoping that Barca do rest a couple of players. But it's a tough one to predict. I just feel hopefully that we do come away with the full 3 points here, because it'll be a kick in the guts. And with our injury list the way it is, you don't want to be heading into a match against SPAL, who has beaten Lazio, in fact. So anything's possible. What do you think, Anne?
I'm pretty nervous for the game, as I am for every Inter match. But as Alessandro said, if we don't win this game, I won't lose sleep. And that's not really the right mentality to have. I know we're trying to focus on the league, but you got to remember, what are we, only match day 13? We've still got a lot of league left to play. But I do get where Conte's going with this, and I do get where the team's going with this, and they'll leave nothing on the pitch on Thursday morning, Wednesday evening in Europe. I have absolutely no doubt they'll leave absolutely everything out there, and I think we will come away with the win. Quickly, before we move on the right-hand side, D'Ambrosio or Candreva, Bruno, and why? Quickly.
I'm thinking D'Ambrosio, only because he's been a rock for Inter at the moment. We saw his return, but I just feel D'Ambrosio, he's in form at the moment. Let him run with that form, because he's going to need it. And potentially a Candreva substitute in the 65th minute.
Perfect. Alessandro, Candreva or D'Ambrosio, or maybe even Lazzaro on the right. I don't know.
I said it before, I think it's going to start with the same formation that finished the game, so Candreva. But either way, in this season, they're doing great both. So either way, it's fine. It really depends. I think the last minute, whoever seems to show the, I don't know, something more than the other, we would play. But yeah, I have no doubt on Conte's decision. At the moment, everything is doing great, so no complaints.
Yeah. Sounds good. Now, let's talk about something that we've mentioned a couple of times on the podcast before, maybe 3 times. I might have mentioned it with Christian once and Bruno once. Gabigol scored 2 goals in 2.5 minutes to win the Copa Libertadores for Flamengo, a Brazilian team, for the first time since the very early 1980s. It was incredible to watch. The River Plate defense just batshit fell asleep. If I was a River Plate fan, man, I would be so pissed off. I know for a fact they'll be riding for absolute sure over there in Argentina. But his value now is most likely to shoot up a little bit. And with Don Marotta being the negotiator that he is, he'll probably get something out of that. But there are rumors starting to leak that he does want to bring him back to Milan for another try. I've watched a lot of Gabigol, and I'm going to go first. I think that the Brazilian league is very different to the Italian league. There is nowhere near as much flair. It's a lot harder to score the kind of goals that he does score. But Inter are a counter-attacking team under Conte. So while I think Gabigol can thrive under Conte in this system, I still wouldn't be against selling him off for the right price. If it's anywhere north of that 30 to 35 million mark, now I think we can probably get a little bit more for him, though. He's the top scorer in Brazil this season. He's celebrating an intercontinental and domestic double. And, you know, for players like this that come out of Brazil, boys, they go to English teams for anywhere up to 40, 50, 60 million. There's no reason why we shouldn't be pushing for any more of the same. But as I said, after watching the guy play, and kudos to him, he's very good at what he does, I really don't think he offers that much still. But then again, if he was brought back for another try, I definitely wouldn't say no, and I'd definitely be happy to give him another try. Alessandro, where do you currently stand on Gabigol?
Okay, so a couple of things. First of all, I didn't actually follow Barbosa last year, Gabigol last season, and I didn't watch the game. I didn't have time, honestly, to watch the game. But the other things I want to mention is that when he was playing for us, in my opinion, he wasn't playing in his real position. He was playing like a winger, and he's a striker, and he needs to play in the middle. And it reminds me a kind of an Icardi player, and I just wonder if it's something that we actually need or not. I'm pretty sure Marotta knows what Conte is asking, and either way, if we get an extra striker in this January window for free, because it's basically we have it's our player. So if we get an extra player with us and maybe can increase his value, I'm happy. If we can sell it for the right amount, that is not the 22 million that they agreed just a month ago. Then if we get the right price, it's fine. It's like either way, it's a risky move. What would I do? I would bring it back at least for this second half of the season, because at least we can see what he can do under Conte and with all the other players in this team. Um, I don't know. It's a tricky situation, and the Brazilian league, especially the defenders, are no way closer to the Serie A one. So he can score 40, 50, 60 goal there, but I just wonder what he can do in Serie A. That's my only concern. What do you think, Bruno?
Yeah, and look, I think he's both raised very valid points, but I just think he's got to go. Um, I'm not one for second chances when, like you stated, Ale, it's not like it's the Serie A. It's not like he went to Spain and scored 40 goals. It's not like he went to England and did the same. It's the Brazilian league, and I just feel if we bought him, we shouldn't have. I never agreed with the purchase initially. We gave him a chance. Yeah, it might have been out of position, but it thrived. And you literally just sent shivers down my spine when you said he reminded you of Mauro Icardi. I don't want that. I don't want that because we've seen what's happened now. But look, I just think if we can get 30 million, 25 million for him, let's get rid of him. We don't need the strikers at the moment. We've got Esposito, we've got Lukaku, we've got uh, Martinez at the same time. We've also got Politano, who does come in and out of that position at times. And we got to remember Sanchez isn't too far away either. So I think that 30 million, 25 million will go very well into bringing someone else for another position we may need. I'm feeling midfield, especially with the injuries we carry at the moment. I just don't feel there's room for him in the squad. Especially when the squad is gelling so well. We don't want to bring back the past, and I just don't think he'll fit into the Conte system. And I'd rather let him go. See you later. Have a nice day.
Hold on. I want to add a little thing about this Icardi
You want
comparison. Sorry, because I mean, I'm not. I mean, if you take Icardi and you take all the drama that the agent uh, brought to the table, I mean, you have to separate the two things. And as far as I know, Gabigol doesn't have the whole drama aspect. So if he's a good striker and he can do what Conte is asking, I mean, potentially is an extra very good striker, and it's something that at the moment we don't have in our team, because it's different from what Lautaro is doing. It's different from Lukaku. Is very different from Sanchez. So it could be another um, kind of striker that we don't have, and we don't have to spend any money to bring in. If we take Icardi, we take all the drama and the shit he has outside the pitch, it would be awesome to have a player like that, in my opinion. Not because, um, I mean, right now we are doing fine without uh, that kind of player, but Lukaku and Lautaro cannot play the whole season, just the two of them. And I don't think Politano can contribute as much as another uh, full striker. So I don't know. Uh, I'm not saying uh, I don't want to say Gabigol is like Icardi, but I'm just saying is in play that kind of position is like that kind of striker is closer to the you know is how do you call it, a poacher or something like that. So that was the only thing related.
Good points, Alessandro. I'm glad you spoke before me, so I've calmed down from that verbal ass whooping that Bruno gave Gabigol. That was ruthless. I'd agree with a lot of what he said, and to be honest, I do think the club's actually going to go in for another striker in January. They've already identified someone, so Marotta could see it as a very, very good cut loss thing. You know, sell one forward for 35.5 million, buy another one for 9 to 15 million, whatever cheap option they're going to go for, because I've just got a feeling that we've got a cheap option like Giroud up our sleeve. So I guess that's where the boys stand on Gabigol. You can just let us know in the comments what you think, or send us a message, whatever. We'll put something up soon. But you know, a good season for him, a good couple of seasons for him in his hometown, probably feels comfortable there. And it wouldn't surprise me to see him even pen an extension. To be honest, maybe Flamengo are the ones who actually come up with the 30 million euro. But yeah, moving on. Again, the midfield obviously looking paper thin, and we've spoken before about reinforcements. But I had a question come in from Steve from Adelaide. Shout out to Steve, and he said, if you could sign a midfielder from Serie A, it has to be from Serie A, and it can't be Milinkovic Savic. Who do you choose and why? It's a question we've had for a few times now, but I've changed my answer, so I'd say it again. I'd actually go with Sandro Tonali. I think he's one of the most mature players for his age, and even though his team is Brescia is coming last, I see that as a great opportunity for them to want to sell at the moment. Brescia being last and Balotelli not performing has opened the Tonali door. I spoke about this with a few friends on the Serie A forum the other day, and that's why I wanted to bring it here. I think Brescia, doing as poorly as they are, really has opened the door for a Tonali transfer sooner rather than later, and not as hardball playing tactics from their president. So that being said, for me, it's Sandro Tonali, no brainer. Anywhere for up to about 60 million will be fine. Let's not start rubbishing these 200, 300. Even it should be nowhere near the three-figure mark. He's just too young and inexperienced. But I'd say he's worth about 60 million, or maybe even 35, 40, and a couple of players. Alessandro's been a big fan of Tonali for a while. Alessandro, if you could pick a midfielder in Serie A besides Milinkovic Savic, would it be Tonali? And, you know, maybe even Tonali first?
It's one of the options, but probably at the moment it's too expensive. Um, I have other two names. One is Luis Alberto. He's playing a phenomenal season this year. I mean, I think it's just a very good option. And another player that I really like so far this season is Cagliari midfielder is Nandes, and it's the first season Serie A, but he's doing great there, and I think we have a good relationship with Cagliari team, and I don't know. That could be another option, but just because we cannot get Milinkovic-Savic.
All right.
What
And
about
Bruno,
Bruno?
any midfielder in Serie A besides Milinkovic-Savic? I don't think you've been on one of the podcasts where we have said which midfielder we'd want to get. So who would you get, Bruno, from Serie A only to answer Steve's question?
Well, I was going for Luis Alberto. He, like Ale said, he's having an absolutely phenomenal season. But I don't like to be the same. I don't like to be like everyone else. And although he was my first pick, I want to throw another name into the mix, and it is no other than and it's two of them. So Quadrado or Ramsey. And I just feel Quadrado will add this pace to the squad that we lack at times. He's a very attacking player, but Ramsey has surprised me this season. And while he's on fire, I just feel this season any player who's come from the Premier League to the Serie A has just shown a lot of flair. We've seen Chris Smalling at Roma, absolutely phenomenal. We've got our own Lukaku, Sanchez, but Ramsey's really shown. But if I had to pick anyone, it would be Luis Alberto. But I just thought I'd chuck them two names out.
Bro, you
But
really are taking that question as a hypothetical, aren't you, man? You're mentioning two Juventus players, one of which plays of a wing back position more than he plays in the midfield.
look, I'm more excited about the next topic, and I'm going to take the reins here, Anthony, because it's something that's really excited me. And after watching the qualifications of the Euro 2020, Italy walked away with maximum points, 30 points from 10 matches. They scored, I don't remember, I think it was 37 goals across the competition and qualifying. And the qualifying draw happens on Saturday. So Saturday night, Sunday morning here. And I know, Ale, you are a very strong supporter. And for those who can't tell, he's actually Italian from his accent. Um, but Ale, what do you think about the Azzurri's chances next year? And who do you think is actually going to shine for the Azzurri? And do we have a winning chance?
So on the paper we do, but Mancini's doing an awesome job with basically a brand new team. So it's gonna be really hard. It reminds me a little bit of the Netherlands of, I don't know, 10 years ago, when they have a lot of great potential, young players that on paper will be like awesome. And then on the actual competition, because of lack of experience or whatnot, because other teams were actually stronger with more experience, then they didn't realize, they didn't did anything of, the concrete. So I don't know. It's again, on paper we have a lot of good young players, and we just need to see if Mancini is able to give them the right directions, because probably the defense is the one where we have the oldest players, which is, in my opinion, very good because we need experience in defense. But the midfield and in attack, we are just young players, and on top of that, we can put Immobile. That if he can actually start scoring in Nazionale as he's scoring in Serie A, that, yeah, it can give something extra, and at that point, uh, yeah, we can go a long way in any competition, not just next year, but for the next um, 4-6 years for sure. Because I mean, and also at the same time, we can benefit from the Italian national team to our team, to Inter, because more and more players are playing for Italy and Inter. and that can be just good. Another player I forgot to mention before is Castrovilli, the Fiorentina player, very young, very talented, and I mean, if you think all the midfielders that we have, it's amazing for Italy in this moment. It's just I cannot think of that amount of young talent in this Italian national team. We were always um, very strong in attack, but the midfield was not so technical. I don't know. I cannot remember anything like that before.
No, I would agree, man. Like, I'm not as old as you. I don't mean that in any way, but like, even in my time, I always grew up on a midfield that was very Gattuso, De Rossi sort of influenced as well, with one technical player just being Pirlo all the time. It was always very like tough and tenacious, but a couple of players will back up exactly what Alessandro just said. After one of the last games that we qualified, it might have been the second last or the last one, I can't remember. Bonucci came out and said he'd never had this much fun playing for the Italian national team. There's just something different about the way that we play in terms of going forward. And then Jorginho said as well, yes, there is something different. You can identify it the second you see us play. There's a little bit of Brazil in this Italy. So this isn't just a bunch of new players coming in. It's sort of a complete shift in style of football for the Italian national team for as long as I can remember as an Azzurri fan. So I think it's absolutely very exciting. And Castrovilli as well has had an amazing season with Fiorentina. And I think it's only a matter of time before he's integrated a little bit further into a bigger club and into the Azzurri shirt properly. Just mentioning that again, we've spoken a lot about the local talent in Italy, but I just also want to give a big shout out to Jorginho and Verratti, who at 27 years old and 26 years old are the senior midfielders in the team, which I think is awesome that they are that young still and they are the senior midfielders in the team and they can take the reins as well. Not that they even need to, but, that's really good to see at the end of the day. Just before we let the boys go, because...
Wait. I have issues with this Italian squad.
Oh, man. Bruno,
I have issues with this Italian squad. Now, we can show, Mancini showed us we can score goals, but that last game we played, I think it was against Armenia, if I'm not mistaken, whoever we belted in the end, and we conceded that one goal. Now, I look at the game as a whole. Now, that one goal could have been, it could have come when we were 1-0, winning 1-0, but it was a defensive error, and I just feel, especially after what happened in 2018 and not qualifying for the World Cup, Italy needs to get rid of the Bonucci-Cellini connection because, you know what, they might be around for this Euro, but I don't want to see them stick around for the next World Cup because at the end of the day, they're getting old and we're going to need some youth coming through. And we saw De Rossi finally say he's finished from international football. We saw Buffon hand on the gloves to Donnarumma. I just feel Cellini, I just feel Bonucci, that you know what, keep one of them. But we can't have both of them on the pitch at the time because especially in the most recent Juventus game, and unfortunately I got to watch that, Bonucci just doesn't look like the defender he once was. And without Cellini, Bonucci looks like a mediocre player from
always had.
And of course he's going to turn around and say, look, I've never had this much fun with the Italian team because you didn't have to fucking do anything. Excuse my French. You didn't have to do anything. They scored 9 goals. You let in one. And when you let it in, we were up 8-0 at the time. So I just feel defensive, attackingly, and in the midfield, we are a very great unit. And being seated in pot one will play to Italy's benefit as well. But defensively, in pot two, you've got France in pot two. Imagine we get France in our group, and you've got Kylian Mbappe, Griezmann. They'll rip us to shreds. They'll rip us to shreds with the current defensive plan that we do have. So I do feel there is some work to do. We've got a good year, a good 8-10 months ahead of us prior to needing to put our best foot forward. But Mancini's got to look at that defensive structure and see what is going to be best for this Italian squad. But prior to me interrupting you, you were talking, Anthony, so I'll hand it back to you, mate.
Bro, I agree with what you're saying. They're getting older. I'll always have a spot for Chiellini. I think he's a whole different tier, couple of tiers above Bonucci. As you said, we've always agreed that Bonucci has only ever been made to look good when Chiellini's by his side. But in that sense, who do you start at centre back, bro? Like, remember that Mancini's been playing four at the back a lot of the time, so you need two centre backs. Romagnoli,
Yeah.
yeah.
Acerbi, Romagnoli. We've got the talent there, and we've seen Lazio move up the ranks with Acerbi. Acerbi's been on fire, and it's not just the strikers doing their job; it's the defense doing their job. And I just feel we got to phase them out slowly. And I'd take Chiellini over Bonucci any day, but Chiellini knows how to injure himself, and this time it's not a bandage around the head. So who's to say he might not come back as good as what he's been ever after this injury? You don't know. You can't predict the future, but I don't know. I just feel we need to start giving these youngsters a run because we'll hit a brick wall because when Chiellini retires, unfortunately, Bonucci's career is over. And if it wasn't for the delict at the moment, we would see Juventus struggling a lot compared to their usual state.
Nice. Just before we go again, there's one thing I wanted to do because we probably won't put out another podcast until this fixture. We take on SPAL, and as I've said all season, it's very hard to think of domestic fixtures when you have a Champions League game midweek. But SPAL currently 19th, having an absolute shit shocker of a season, in huge trouble. Not many good players. Mark Patania out of the game. Bruno, I'll start with you just quickly. How do you think we're going to SPAL, irrespective of the result against Slavia? Do you think? Obviously, Slavia result plays a huge part in it, but how do you plan to prepare mentally for this match?
Look, I don't feel SPAL's position on the table gives them justice. They did beat Lazio. They did draw 0-0 with Napoli. And what you'll get with these lower teams is you'll find that you have a lot of players who turn around and they defend. They'll put 11 players in their own half. And I feel that's what will happen with this team. SPAL, that cheer if they got a draw against second placed Inter Milan. And when you play the lower teams, especially in the Serie A, they defend. And I don't know. I don't think we won't come away with a win, but I don't think it's going to be an easy win. I don't think we'll be able to do what we did against Torino. Not because SPAL's better than Torino, but because SPAL's not in it to win it. They're there to take a point if they can, and I'm worried. Ale, I'm not sure if you share the same concerns, but what do you think?
I think a lot depends on if we get anybody else injured in the Prague game. If we don't, maybe we can bring back Gagliardini or Asamoah. I think we can take the 3 points in a very ugly game. Because usually with these kind of teams, you don't get space, and they tend to destroy the game more than build the game. So it's not gonna be anything close to the Torino game. It's not gonna be easy or good to watch. But again, I think we can take the 3 points more against SPA than in Champions League. But it really depends if we can keep all the players injury free. What's your take, Anthony? You think we can win?
Yeah, I think we can win, but yeah, it's a great point. They will put 11 men behind the ball, and those are the hardest things to break down, which is why it's so important to get that early goal. You know, pressure them hard at the start, get very physical in the box. An early goal for Lukaku would be fantastic, but we've all seen it's going to be very, very much inclined to Lautaro to get the early goal. He loves an early goal, El Toro. So it doesn't really matter where it comes from at the moment. You know, I've got faith in De Vrij bringing one in. Even if Vecino plays, you never know. As you said, Alessandro, this team is growing game by game. I have nothing but faith that they can find a way to win against any team in the world on their day. But, you know, we've got to give the boys the benefit of the doubt sometimes when results don't go our way this season. And we just need to think back to the previous few seasons if you're having trouble with appreciation or gratitude for the hard work of Conte, Marotta, Steven Zhang, and the entire Suning group. So that's pretty much it that I'm going to have to say, and we're going to have to say for today. So thank you very much, Alessandro, for joining us from San Francisco, bro.
Always welcome. Always a pleasure talking to you. Just a quick note. Just the other day, they were on the ESPN game. They were saying that Lautaro in Serie A is the player who scored the most goal in the first 30 minutes. So against SPAL, maybe he's gonna be the one scoring early goal.
We're just going with the trend of Lautaro getting those early goals. Yeah. So what about you, Bruno?
Look, I don't really care who scores, to be honest. They can score an own goal for all I care. As long as we get an early goal, as long as we get on that score sheet first, I can tell you now, if they score first, the best we're going to walk away with is 1 point. And that's if we're lucky. So we need to get that early goal first, break their confidence, break that mentality, take the candy from the baby, because we got to show the rest of the Serie A we are giants and we're not here to muck around. So I like you said, Martinez, yes, early goal. Set piece, I think it's going to come from either a free kick or a corner. In saying that, we've got Sensi, who may make a return, and we've seen what he can do behind the ball in any set piece. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I was just about to say it would be awesome to see Sensi get named in that starting 11 before the game, and then for him to provide an amazing goal or an amazing assist. Oh, man, that would really, really get me out of my seat. Grazie mille to Bruno, and thanks again to Alessandro. And, of course, thank you to you all for listening, and we'll keep pumping out that content for all of you lovely people. Thank you very much. Forza Inter Worldwide. Ciao, ragazzi.
Ciao.
Ciao.